Hey YouTube, Jay Green 302. It's been a while. I have been down for over a month. For 3 weeks I was pretty much bedridden. 2 weeks to recover, and last week I pretty much, well, I guess it's almost 2 months. Last week I was finally back to functioning at 100%. You may hear a persistent cough every once in a while during all this. I think I'm going to call this one current events. Political in nature, which I normally don't do. It took me 30 minutes of note-taking, and I still don't know if I can manage to get through everything. But before I get started, for the 10 people that actually bother to even look at these videos that I make, if, as a recommendation, check out Tech, T-E-C-H 2015, Tech 2015. Guy's name's Troy. He's up in New York, and he's full-time going off the grid, and I literally check every day to see if he's posted new videos. I have been following this guy every day religiously, because the stuff that he's doing is so real world and is so practical. It has been one of the best educations. I cannot help but recommend this guy. Take a look, see what he's doing. He's off grid in cheap RVs, washing his clothes in a creek, collecting rainwater, growing a garden, and basically showing what's involved in going down that route. And I'll probably cycle back around through him in some of my later talk. As I said, this will generally be current events of a political nature, which I don't like to get into, but a preface to this is that there's been a lot of things going on that has caused me to start paying very close attention to what's going on in the world, because it's going in a direction that is changing a lot of things that I've been thinking about. So let's get started. And again, this is going to be all over the place, so bear with me, folks. There's too much to cover. So my first little item here is I want to talk about the weather. For the last 2 years, and because of some folks that I know, we pay very close attention to hay. Wasn't something that I used to pay attention to, but hay is what feeds cattle. Hay is what feeds horses. Hay is what provides the basic cattle stock feed. When you don't have hay and you have livestock, you've got a problem. Weather. Most of the Southwest for the last 3 years now has absolutely baked. It is crushingly hot. 2 years ago, when I started paying attention to this, we started stockpiling hay. And in the winter, when everybody else was paying almost double, we had hay. We were looking at it as a cost savings. But last year, the drought and the heat got so bad that they couldn't feed the cattle, and they had a kill-off. And for a while there, beef got pretty cheap because there was a flood of beef. And so I vacuum sealed a lot of beef, filled 2 freezers. Well, what happens is when you kill off half to 3/4 of the breeding stock, well, there's not enough left. But when hay is difficult, when you reduce the cattle stock, now what little hay you can get, you can keep the cattle fed. Well, guess what? The weather in the Southwest has been so brutal, it's worse than it was last year. Pay attention to this. I have seen videos of what used to be grazing pastures out in the Midwest that is covered in 4 inches of sand and dirt. It's destroyed. And they're saying it's shutting down towns, it's shutting down businesses. It's just cooking out there. Now, conversely, it is July, and it is still raining on the East Coast. This is not normal. This is bizarre. And yet, in Nevada, I think it was Nevada, and let me see if I can reference this real quick. Correction. Santa Rosa, New Mexico had 2 feet of snow. And this was yesterday, July. In New Mexico, they got 2 feet of snow. Anything ring normal with this? Something is really messed up with the weather. And this is going to affect agriculture. I will not even bother to get into the over 1 billion bees have been found dead since March. No bees, no food, period. These are 2 key things that I am paying attention to in relation. Hay, weather, bees. Because it affects your grocery bill. Simple as that. Alright, I gotta move on. So, I'll talk about a couple other things. So, some of the things, this political environment. Egypt going crazy, Syria, Spain having all their issues, the EU, the things that are going on here in the States. I'm going to start with the Prez. A couple of things caught my attention. They have confirmed that the Social Security number that he used was issued in like the 1800s to some dude in Connecticut. It's a proven fact. It's a false Social Security number. They've also proven that the birth certificate that was presented is unequivocally bogus. There's no question about this. It's absolutely proved. It's done. So on these 2 things, this is a felony. Here's a question. Why isn't anybody pressing charges? If the birth certificate, which is a requirement for the presidency, is known to be false, he is yet to prove that he's eligible. Why isn't anybody asking for the proof of eligibility? You know, senators, congressmen, Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, State Department, CIA, FBI. Somebody? Anybody? Nothing. Does anybody find anything odd in this? I don't need to tell you. The NSA, the IRS, the whole gun control issue that was such a big deal, and suddenly, poof, you haven't heard from anything from Dianne Feinstein, have you? I've been trying to keep track of all the 4 and 8. I actually saw that they spent $813,000 to teach Africans to wash their balls. Think about that a minute. Our tax dollars to teach somebody to wash their balls. I'm not making this up. I'm not that creative. I won't go into the fact that the president is supporting the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, has sent billions, has given them surface-to-air missiles, aircraft. John McCain is openly advocating providing arms to Al-Qaeda. That's aiding the terrorist, openly. Hello? He's looking to abolish term limits on the presidency so he can run for a 3rd term. All of this has been going on the last 6 months. There's been more stuff that has gone on in the last 6 months than has gone on in the last 15, 20 years. Anybody? Is this ringing a bell? There's a guy that I argue with about these issues all the time, and he uses a term that just drives me crazy. And it took me a while, but the reason it drives me crazy is because it's so simple but accurate. He goes, where are the crowds? Where are the riots? Where are the burning buildings? Nothing. But in Egypt, 33 million people can show the whole world what you can do. And here, Nothing. Why? Why is there no justice? Why is there no investigations? Why is there no check and balance? What's going on? Let me skip out of that because I'll bring all this to a head again. The police state. Checkpoints where they're pulling people out of their cars and swabbing for DNA and blood samples against people's will. The Boston bombing. They violated every constitutional right of the public, and nobody sued, nobody complained, nobody reacted to the illegal activities that was conducted. Interesting test. Kind of like in Greece, when you want to find out what happens when you start stealing people's money. How about this? Police arrested a family for refusing to let them quarter or use their house as a surveillance on somebody else. So they went in, arrested the guy, drew guns on him, shot him with pepper bullets, arrested him, pulled him out of his house, invaded his house, searched his house, then used it for what the hell they wanted. No search warrant, no nothing. Violated the Third Amendment 3 ways to Sunday. They at least are taking them to court. But at what point do the police just do whatever the hell they want? And if you don't comply, they start basically terroristically threatening you, assaulting you, illegally arresting you. And there's no internal review. There's thousands of these out there. I'm just picking one. You've all heard of it. Can somebody explain to me what the hell is going on? When did this country celebrate the 4th of July and their independence when we have absolutely none of the rights that we fought for? Anybody? Hello? Is this thing, is it on? Trayvon Martin. Well, let's cover this in a couple brief statements. Oh, dear God. Regardless of what you say, Trayvon Martin attacked George Zimmerman, put him to the ground, and commenced to violently assaulting him. He was shot. Cost him his life. Maybe Trayvon shouldn't have broken the law in the first place, and Trayvon wouldn't have a problem. The police in the court case testified that they did not then, and they do not now, have any reason to arrest George Zimmerman. So why is there a case? If you followed the case, they put a retard on the stand and damn near lost the case. They then put the police on and lost the case. And then they put Trayvon's mother on and got nothing and stopped. The prosecution knew they had no case. They know he's going to get acquitted. There's no way around this. They went through it all, and they have stirred up everybody. They're expecting riots. It's all engineered because it never should have gone to court. So who's the puppet masters playing the game? What happens? Well, they acquit him. The black community goes apeshit. In Florida, a lot of people have guns. You want to get your ass into a little frenzy and start breaking the law because you're pissed off, and you threaten people there with deadly force, there's going to be a lot of black bodies in bags. And then what's going to happen? DHS, National Guard, SWAT teams, armored vehicles, drones. It's like the government's wet dream about to happen. institute more control. Here's another interesting fact. There's a 100-mile border all the way around the continental United States, which happens to include the entire state of Florida, Constitution-free zone. An entire state in the Union, or the collective states of the United States, which is protected by the Constitution. The entire state of Florida is a Constitution-free zone. Hello. Gold, silver, all the commodities. Anybody notice that it's just completely went in the toilet? Anybody paying attention to the bond markets and the financial markets? What's going on in Japan? What's going on in Europe? What's going on in Spain? Anybody looking at the numbers? It's all messed up. Okay, Egypt. Monsanto's. Did you know that they've applied a gene to the Monsanto's modified corn and various other products that is designed to attack the male sperm to cause sterility in the population? You might want to go look that up. And they approved it. Ask yourself why. It's almost as bad as Germany and the Jews. Are you really trying to do that to the population as the government? Really? If you doubt it, take a look at Roundup. Roundup will sterilize your ass in a heartbeat if you're not careful with that stuff. So, why did I go down all this road? Let me try to sum it all up. I've been interested in how do I make fire? How do I make electricity? The survival stuff. That's all good. If you want to go out and you want to learn bushcraft, you want to go out and I got a knife and I got a stainless steel canteen and I got some paracord. I'm going to disappear in the woods and I'm going to bushcraft it. Okay. Bushcraft away. It's not going to be the problem. Oh, it's going to be an EMP attack. Okay. In which case, there's a whole different set of rules. What's more probable based on all the evidence we're seeing? We're seeing a country that is spending money like it doesn't care. $813,000 to teach somebody to wash their balls when you're broke. That's pretty abusive with money. So they don't care. I've described this as, if you know you're going to bankruptcy court next week, are you really worried about your credit limits on your credit cards or whether or not you max them out? Because you're going to go through the same process if you've got 10% of those cards eat up or 110%. You're going shopping. Government's going shopping right now. The value of the dollar is going down. Inflation's going up. The markets are going crazy. The jobs are going away. Maybe what you need to be planning on is an economic slowdown. Think 1920s, except people are idiots and assholes, and there's a lot more of them. People who are carrying a mortgage, a car payment, credit card debts are going to get destroyed. The people that have their house paid off, don't have debts, have managed their money, have got some things tied up in, say, gold and some other things. So if the banks crash, they don't have any debt. There's nobody to come after them. If you have cash set aside that you can pay your taxes, you're going to be sitting pretty. But everybody else is going to get crushed. Did it dawn on anybody that the Fed is only buying $85 billion a month for the last year and a half in home mortgages? Of all the things out there that they could put money into, they only picked one. Just one. Home mortgages. That's real estate and home. Maybe you need to figure out how to be debt-free and prepared to protect what you have. And you might want to make sure that you keep a limited amount of money in the banks, because they're testing stealing people's money out of the banks, Greece. They're armed up to the teeth with the DHS, and if you don't think that's bad enough, there's a report out there that 15,000 Russian troops have been asked to come into this country as security for upcoming events. If you don't believe me, go to Google and do a Google search, say Obama request Russian troops upcoming disaster, and you'll find the news articles. They're bringing foreign troops in. Foreign troops, DHS armed to the hilt, billions of bullets, economy's going to crap, jobs are going everywhere, all of it's going out of this country. They're trying to make the amnesty deal for all of the illegal aliens. Everything looks corrupt. And when the dollar falls out, everybody that's sitting there on a $200,000 mortgage may find themselves homeless. That's why I got an RV. I am 3 payments away from getting my car paid off. I have more gold coins coming in. I don't owe anybody anything in 3 months. Not a dime to anybody. Maybe instead of worrying about bushcraft, you might want to start worrying about debt. And you might want to start worrying about the police state and the NSA security that's trying to watch you and everything, and all the cameras that watch you wherever you go. And you might want to start paying attention to your food and the weather, because it's all geared against you. And you might want to start thinking about these things. This has been what's been on my mind for the last month, and thus this is what the video is, because you can be all ramped up for bushcraft, and if that ain't what your problem is, you're at the airport waiting for your ship to come in and you just can't figure out why things are going wrong. These are my thoughts. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.